Oh, I didn't even have my mic on. I was just talking. But yeah, we're gonna break down this press conference. We're gonna talk about this. I have some things pulled up in the background that we're gonna go over as we watch this, because y'all know I got something to say about it, and y'all know I be paying real close attention. So when people say something one place and then they come back and say something different somewhere else, it might take me a minute to figure out where they said it different, but I know they did, and I'm gonna track it down. And I done tracked down some stuff. And also, I have this as loud as it can go. Every source that I could find, the volume was low. Had they not been too lazy to stand up at a podium and give the and speak, then they could have moved in front of the mic so they could be heard clearly. But they preferred to sit down like a bunch of lazy lumps on the log. I'm about to do some sound checking because I can't tell if you can hear this at all. Oh well, no, you can't hear it because I'm not even sharing the doggone screen. Y'all should have told me that. Hold on here. Let's get this. This is Cody Bigsby family. All right, let's try this again. We skip past the first part because they aren't talking in that part. I gotta tell y'all about this reward fund too. Just pay attention. Pay attention real quick if they actually speak about the reward fund because I don't remember hearing them say anything about it. But I'm gonna tell you something about this in just a second.
I can tell everyone that, and they will go into more in more detail. But the first attorney that Cory Bigsby had told them not to talk to anyone, not to post on Facebook, not to engage. And one of the family members that is not here um, advised me as well that he told them to erase their social media um, profiles. So they had been given instruction not to talk to the media. When I came in the case, obviously, as everyone knows, my focus.
Is it odd to you that the prior attorney, one of the first things he would have told them was to erase their social media? I can only think of one reason for erasing my social media.
Was on getting Cory out. That was my focus. That's what I attempted to do. Um, and then I began to engage with the family about talking to the media. So I actually just found out that they had been instructed not to talk to the media. And again, when I got in, my main focus was getting him out, so I didn't really have that discussion with them. But they have wanted to speak. They again were instructed not to, and so this press conference was really set up at the request of the family because um, now with me representing Cory, I told them there's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't talk to the media. So what I will do is just I have kind of a brief timeline just to talk about the um, events that took place, how this case began, and then I'm going to let the family talk the majority of the press conference. So
I'm speed this up if y'all don't mind because they taking too long and I don't really want to listen to them for that long again. But I'm gonna speed it up just a little.
so on January 31st, Cory went to the Hampton Police Department to report Cody missing. Um, between January 31st and now, there has never been an Amber Alert by the Hampton Police Department. That is one thing that is extremely concerning, and I'm going to let the family talk about their views as to why that may not have happened. But the bottom line.
The bottom line is an Amber Alert is only supposed to be issued if there is an suspected abduction and they have a description of the vehicle and the suspect. So pushing that issue is really not going to get them anywhere, especially since she's an attorney and she should understand what it is to have a definition and a protocol for how things are supposed to happen.
Is in order to get an Amber Alert, the Hampton Police Department would have to request that from the Virginia State Police. The Virginia State Police sends a letter that says we're not going to issue it or we are going to issue it. The Hampton Police Department was derelict in their duties in finding Cody. Again, I will let the family go into the reasons that we believe, but obviously, they from the
She making
start
herself look like a
like
fool saying they were
did
derelict in
something
their duty.
that was it didn't do Cody any justice. So that was around so that there hasn't been an Amber Alert. The police set up a site to look for Cody around February 1st, but by February 4th, they had dismantled that the makeshift site where they were looking for Cody. When they asked for volunteers, they limited the number of volunteers to 50. So there's a lot that they did. They pretty much stopped looking for him within a week. So after Cory did what he was supposed to do as a father, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office took over and essentially overcharged him so that he could not, or virtually impossible, making it virtually impossible for him to get out, causing hysteria in the community, hysteria with the judges, and supporting what I consider the false narrative that the police started. Um, I will also say that I've been practicing for 20 years.
She calls what the police said a false narrative, but what the police said is what they think based on their investigation. So it's not a false narrative, it's a narrative based on the facts and evidence. And if she's been practicing for 20 years, she should understand what that means.
And this is my opinion of what happened in the Hampton Police Department when Cory went to the police department to report Cody missing. crime that he didn't commit. When they could not get him to falsely confess to a crime, they started denying him right to counsel. That's factual. The police department said they denied his right to counsel. Um, they kept him there for 4 days, limited food and water, not letting him go home, despite the fact that he wanted to go home. He asked for counsel. He said he was tired. Um, my opinion is that this is what the Hampton Police Department generally does.
I want to see the interrogation video.
The fact that they put someone on administrative leave when it wasn't just one person that denied his right to counsel, the FBI were there as well. So these were multiple people that denied his right to counsel. And then all of a sudden, when the media decides to cover Cody, oh, we're sorry, we denied his right to counsel, we're going to put one person on administrative leave. So my opinion is that this.
And since when do local police have the authority to put FBI agents on leave or fire them or anything else?
Is a pattern in practice in the Hampton Police Department where they attempt
She
to
should
deflect
stop talking.
questions, and when they don't, the torture begins. The Commonwealth picks it up by adding overcharging, and then everyone knows that the new indictments were additional overcharging. So my position is that the Hampton Police Department and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office is complicit in this corruption. I've said my what I believe several times in court. So I know that all of you all know that. So I am going to, having made that introduction, I'm going to go ahead and allow the family to speak. I'm going to start with Tandalia Butler because I'm going to try to go based on the chronology of what happened. So if you can,
Oh, this the good part. I got something for her.
On January the 31st, when my nephew went missing, I got a call from my niece, in which I was at work in Maryland, and she said she had heard about it from her grandmother who saw it on the news. I left work and I came straight to him. I stayed in the police station all night the first night, asking if I could see my nephews, if I could see my brother. I was constantly told over and over again that it was a sensitive case. He couldn't speak, but he was free to leave if he wanted to. Like I kept telling him, there's no way he's free to leave and doesn't want to leave. Even if he wants to help you find his son, he will want to do it from home around people that love him who can help and assist him with that. Still nothing. The next day, I left the station, went out and joined active searches. We were in a search that day and probably 2 more days. Um, I remember my niece getting a call from one of the FBI agents. We had to go back to the station, turn over phones so that they could dump the phones. Police had those phones for every bit of 2 to 3 hours. So for the police chief to come out and say, for those who claim to love Cody, if they would give us more information, like how much more information do you need if we've done everything you asked us to do? It's not fair at all. It's just not fair. We've done that. Then there comes where they were. Someone so-called found a jacket in tire tracks. That area where that jacket was found, I was clearly there on one of those searches in that very area, and that jacket was not there. How can you find tire tracks in a place where before, when my nephew went missing, there was snow on the ground? It's not possible. It's not possible.
Wrong. It is possible if the tracks were under the snow. The snow would not have necessarily destroyed tracks. Now, when she was saying this about I was in that area searching before and no jacket was there, it made me think of, and I'm not saying it's related or it's what happened, but it made me think of when EquiSearch Midwest was doing the searches for Summer Wells. What they kept saying was, if you see us out searching, don't mention where specifically you saw us because we clear those areas. And after we clear those areas, we don't have an intention of going back to those areas. So if you announce that we saw them in this specific spot, then if someone has evidence that needs to be hidden, they can now move that evidence and take it to this spot that they know has already been searched and is cleared, and probably buy some time, or either we'll just lose it altogether because we already searched it. So when she said that I was in that area, I was searching, there was no jacket there. We don't even know if that was Cody's jacket, but let's just say it is Cody's jacket, right? That area has already been searched. She was there, she knew it had been searched, and all of a sudden there's a jacket there that wasn't there before. 1 plus 1 could be 2. Of course, 1 plus 1 could be 3.
So I just believe that the Hampton Police Department is trying to cover up for them not doing their part. When there should have been door-to-door searches from the beginning, they weren't done. When they finally did do door-to-door searches, it wasn't with the dogs. You claimed you were picking up scents and the dog lost the scent. Clearly, you should have took those dogs to the doors and asked to go inside of these people's homes, which you didn't do. You didn't do the Amber Alert. Like, where does the fault lie on you?
Yes, my name is Mr. Henry. I'm Cory's uncle. And to start where Nikki left off, the reason why I believe that it wasn't an Amber Alert, because once Cory called the police and said, hey, I went downstairs, my son is missing. I asked him to come to the precinct. He goes to the precinct. They question him about, where were you? What time was it when you found your son was missing? And once he began to answer the questions for almost 4 hours, 72 hours, almost 4 days, they questioned him about his son. So now it got to the point that he wasn't charged at all, and he wanted to go, but they told him, well, you ain't charged, but no, right now stay here and talk. So to me, that's like kidnapping, because he wanted to leave, but they wouldn't let him go. They let him stay there, but they said he was free to go. But every time he tried to leave, they wouldn't let this came out of his mouth. This is what he told. They wouldn't let him go. And so once we had got a lawyer, then they said, oh, we're going to charge you. But twice he asked for a lawyer, they didn't give it to him. There wasn't no charges, but they still held him until we obtained a lawyer. Then they charged him with a charge. Also, when I went to the house, all the plumbing, the zinc, the bathroom, the kitchen, they took out all the plumbing and they dug up all the floors. So I'm believing that what they thought was, no, you killed your son, and we're going to find out what you did to him. So all that about his son got missing, they believe he killed him. He was missing because of Cory, and so we don't need an Amber Alert. Did something to your son. So this whole case now is based on not even his son being missing. We're not going to do an Amber Alert on a 4-year-old boy that is missing. We're not going to look for him because we know that you killed him. And we're going to get you to testify and claim that you did it, because he didn't do it. Now we're going to charge you. So now they give him 7 charges. Then they come back because they still can't find no evidence of if he did something to his son. So now we're going to give you 23 more charges. So now there's 30 charges because we can't prove you killed your son, but we really can't prove that you did it. So now we're going to hold you for as long as we can because we made a mistake. We didn't give you an attorney. When you wanted to leave, we wouldn't let you leave. And so because we was at fault, so now we're going to keep you in prison as long as we can keep you in this prison. Because we was wrong. And so for us to cover our wrong, this is what we're doing to him. And, even when people suggest that the family has something to do with it, but it's no proof that Cory did anything to his son.
Now, I'm going to agree with him. The police really are, the judicial system in this instance is doing exactly what he said, but I don't fault them because these police officers, that Hampton police chief, this is not his first rodeo. He didn't just join the force last month or last week or a year ago. He's been doing this for a long time. So not only do I trust his investigative skills, being able to analyze evidence that's put before him and come up with a reasonable and logical theory as to what happened based on the evidence that he has, I trust that, and since they keep pulling the race card, I trust that after listening to him speak in so many press conferences and watching his demeanor, I trust that he is not the type of black man who would go after another black man like that if there was a way not to. You feel me? I don't feel like he's one of those black men who would just attack another black man if for no reason, without cause. Because you have some like that. But I don't get that feeling from him. They keep trying to play the race card, but they're playing the race card against another black man, is essentially what they're doing. Now, as I said, the judicial system is kind of playing a game here, because out of all the 30 charges that Cory has, not a single one of those charges has anything to do with Cody or Cody's disappearance or Cody's suspected murder. They all have to do with the other 4 children. So yes, this is an issue of, we can't prove you did it yet, but we're going to hold you as long as we possibly can. So I kind of feel like this is an instance where the justice system is telling him, we're going to get justice for Cody one way or another one. If we never get enough to charge you for Cody, we're going to charge you for everything else in the world that you possibly could have done, so that when you're found guilty on these things, you'll get a just sentence for what you really did.
It's none. But look how long he's been locked up. And now he's on suicide watch because of what they is doing to him. My son is gone, but you holding me for 30.
And you're right, Emily. It is so wrong that they denied him an attorney. The only reason that I ever even mentioned that, because people were getting upset that certain creators were harping on the fact that they denied him an attorney, but you have to think of it in the grand scope of things. Being upset about them denying him an attorney isn't necessarily saying that you're pro Cory. It's saying that you want justice for Cody. And them denying him an attorney, even though at this point it looks like, fortunately, it didn't mess up any case that they may have had, but them denying him an attorney when he specifically and clearly asked for one could have taken everything off the board. He could have walked scot-free on everything that was said in that room, including whatever led to charges for the other 4 kids. Because of somebody's made mistake, somebody's ego, or whatever it was that caused them to deny him an attorney. They could have messed up the whole thing, and Cody and none of his brothers would have ever gotten justice. So that's the only reason I get upset about that, is because I feel like they played a dangerous game. They just got lucky and won.
Charges, and I can't look for my son? And you saying I killed my son? You saying I did something to my son? And then I got to stay in prison for what you think I might have did? Come on. I thought it was until proven guilty. But you innocent until proven guilty. But if you look at this Cory's case, Cory's guilty, according to Hampton, Virginia, until he proved himself innocent. I thought the law worked the other way. That's why we're here. And that's why we're speaking about what happened to Cory and what they did to him. And mentally, he's losing it. In a way, my son is gone. I can't look for him. But y'all saying I killed him. But I didn't. Now I'm facing 117 years because my son missing. Somebody took him. Y'all never looked for him. Y'all never did an Amber Alert because y'all believe I did something to him. So this is what I got to go through. I'm denied bond 3 times. I spent 20-something years in the military. More than over 20-something years in the military. I don't have a record from day one. But this is how I get treated because I served the United States of America. This what happens to me? Come on, y'all. Is that fair? If you would just think that was one of you all's child, and your child was missing, and you was locked up because you was accused for killing your child, and you know you didn't do it, but yet you got to go through all this pain and all this misery that Cory's going through because of someone thinking that you did something. But why? It was denied bond because someone before him, child went missing? And because they believed?
No, he's not denied bond because of what somebody else before him did. He's denied bond because, 1, he had an AWOL from the military. Because 2, he doesn't have a record. So therefore, he has more than likely has a passport and a visa to at least a couple of other countries. So he is a flight risk. He owns property that he could sell and reasonably come up with enough money to be able to leave the country. No, Rob, this is Cory's uncle. And for him to make that argument is just clearly, distraction.
And they gave her bond and found out that she killed her children. So we're not gonna give you bond because, Your Honor, you know what happened last time, so we can't let them go. Because you want this to happen to us again? To release somebody who said they didn't do anything and found out that the lady did kill her child? Why? Is it because of her color? She was released and found out that she killed her own children. So now we ain't gonna let Cory go. No,
Here we go with the race card again.
He did something to his son. And because of what happened the first time, we don't want to go through that again. So we're not gonna let you go. So why am I denied bond 4 times? How am I a threat? How am I a threat? Not to come back to court. I gave y'all over 20 years in the military. I fought for America. To be treated like this? Because of what you think I done? Not fair. Looking at 117 years for child neglect?
162.
Killing people every day, shooting up schools. But are they looking at 117 years? It don't make sense. This is supposed to be America. I let my wife say something.
What I'd like to say is, first of all, I want everybody to understand that we have Cody and Cory that we're concerned about. And you don't sit up at night praying and crying and wondering, is Cody, is he okay? Who has him? Is he eating? Is he cold? Is he hot? What his mental status is like. Is he crying for his dad? Is he crying for his siblings? We do. We do. We a village family. We're a village family. When you do something to one of us, you've done it to all of us. Cory, I helped raise Cory like my own son. And it hurts me every day knowing that we can't talk to him, knowing that he's locked up for, he's innocent. He is innocent, but you've already said he was guilty. And it just hurts every day. You sit out there and you criticize us on social media, on the news, and we're bleeding on the inside. And we're bleeding on the inside the whole time, trying to keep a smile on our face. If we knew, if we had any idea where Cody was, we wouldn't be here today. Cory wouldn't be locked up today. Make it make sense. Who in the world would take a kid from their loved one, hide them, have him to call and say the kid is missing, and him to go through all of this? We are not that people. We maybe people that's greedy for money may do something like that, but that's not who we are. That's not who Cory is. And for him to be treated like this, it don't make sense. I said, why? I never wanted Cory to move to Virginia. And
Now, mind y'all, we 20 minutes in, right? 21 minutes and 6 seconds into this video. This is supposed to be a press conference to announce a $25,000 reward for information leading to finding Cody. That's what this is supposed to be. We are 21 minutes in. Has anyone heard anything about a reward for finding Cody? Have we heard them ask anyone about finding Cody? They made any pleas to the public if you know anything, if you saw anything, if you think you know anything? Yeah, look, not even a picture of the baby. They don't even have a picture of the baby up there. Ain't nobody even holding up a picture of the baby on their phone. It's poor Cory, poor Cory, poor Cory, poor us.
I was like, why did he move here? But he's here because, his kids are here, and that's why he stayed in Virginia. I was like, get everybody to come to DC, but he has kids here. So he stayed because he's a dad. He's a good dad. But you making him seem like he's a villain. He's a good dad. The track record you should track is He's never been in trouble. He's a provider. He's a good dad who would take care of four little kids after raising another set of grown kids. Who? What a good dad. He's not this villain that you think. He's a good dad. And I want him home.
She wants him home. Do she want Cody home? That's the question.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair. And whoever might have Cody, just put him where we can find him.
It really is unfair. He's a good dad. I want him home. I ain't heard nothing about. He's a sweet baby. I want him home. He's a cute little loving child. I want him home. He's an adorable little kid. I want him home.
And put him where he can be found. It's okay. I don't care if you don't turn yourself in. Put him someplace where we can find him. He have other siblings that's crying there in foster care. We can't even get in touch with them because they won't answer our call.
That's what I'm talking about, Tim. Make it make sense for them. If they find Cody, they can prove Cory didn't do anything, right? Right.
We're concerned about Cody, Cory, and the rest of the Bigsby kids. We are a village. We're a close knit family. And that's all I have to say.
Um, I'm I'm gonna let Bonnie speak. Before I do that, this is what they're living with every day. And Mr. Hennett said, "This is America." The foundation of my law firm is the unfortunate reality that this is America. I'll let Bonnie speak to the 25.
Yeah, PD Unleashed has agreed among executives and employees and other businesses to have a $25,000 reward for anyone who has any information leading up to finding Cody. As you see,
I can barely hear her, so I'm going to rewind this a little bit so I can read what she was saying.
We're a close knit family. And that's all I have to say.
If they right and Cory didn't do anything, I'll be the first one to apologize.
I'm gonna let Bonnie speak. Before I do that, this is what they're living with every day. And Mr. Hennett said, "This is America." The foundation of my law firm is the unfortunate reality that this is America. I'll let Bonnie speak to the 25.
yeah, PD Unleashed has agreed among executives and employees and other businesses to have a $25,000 reward for anyone who has any information leading up to finding Cody. As you've seen here, this family's torn apart because there's a child missing and there's a parent being blamed for that child being missing when you're just doing what was right as a parent, do what all we could to get some help to find his child. And we want to help this family get some peace and to find Cody and to help Cory.
Is it a word good if he's safe return or dead or alive or
A return.
dead or alive?
I mean, I don't want to think
He's not
about it
dead.
either. So you think someone has him?
I do. I have thought that from day one. In fact, I'm a Christian woman, and as I prayed and asked the Lord, He told me he was alive.
Do you have any idea who would take him?
I have no idea. I wish I had. I'd go get him myself.
I remember one time my niece was saying within that area that he live in, there is a playground outside. Not only is it a playground, but there's a fenced off, the neighborhood is fenced off from another neighborhood. And the neighborhood, when I went to move his stuff, it's a big hole in a fence that separates the neighborhoods. And the other neighborhood that is connected to his neighborhood is known as a lot of sex offenders in that neighborhood.
There's one right on the drive.
It's
So what are we saying? A sex offender from another neighborhood snuck through a hole in the fence and stole Cody in the middle of the night? Is that what he's saying? Is that what he's suggesting? That a sex offender came from another neighborhood, snuck through a hole in the fence, somehow miraculously found the Bigsby apartment and stole Cody in the middle of the night, fully dressed with shoes on.
So did the police ever go in that area where they known sex offenders that live there to question any of them, to interview any of them? Could one of them could have saw him that night walking outside?
That is a really ridiculous question because whenever something like this happens, they always check what sex offenders are registered in that area or known to be in that area and start talking to them every single time.
Picked him up, took him home. He could be living with him now. You never know. We know the story about them 6 ladies living in the man's house for all them years. No one never knew they was there because the police never went on that side and searched them people's homes and questioned those people about the boy, about our nephew.
Is it?
I don't know how often exactly he left them alone, but the first 7 charges that he had, there were 3 charges out of those 7 were for leaving the children unattended, I believe. So one for each of them. And as a matter of fact, in the first 7 charges, there were at least 2 separate occasions that he supposedly left the children alone on 2 separate dates. One date that he left all of the children alone, and one date that he took the oldest son, the now 6-year-old, with him and left Cody and the twins unattended. So I'm assuming that he did this at least every time that he had something to do that was not really kid friendly, which would include probably just about anything: going to the grocery store, buying a car, buying a house, running up to the convenience store. So he probably did it quite often, more often than he's actually charged for. But that's a really good question.
Why the children are in foster care instead of the care of you?
I would say I have been told that they are in the process of vetting myself as well as their aunt, and the process could be 6, 9 months, even a year. My point is, we don't get to have contact with them as we should.
I was only in contact with them once, and I reached out to them.
Now check this out, right? They keep saying we're a village family. We're a village family. That cannot possibly be. Let me tell you what a village family is. A village family is me, my kids, and my grandkids. The way a village family works is we're all there for each other. We see or talk to each other on a regular basis, just about daily. With me, my kids, and my grandkids, I'm in one city right now with 3 of my grandkids and 1 of my daughters. Okay, I have 3 daughters and 4 grandkids in another city. But every single day we're in touch. I might not always talk to my daughter that's in Florida, but her sister that's here with me, she'll talk to her. Or I'll talk to my son and he's talked to the daughter that's down there, but we're in touch at all times. In some kind of way, everybody out of me, my 4 kids, every single one of us knows what's going on with every single other one of us every single day, either by direct contact or by secondhand contact. Did you talk to so-and-so today? Yeah, I talked to him today. Now, a village family is when we were all in the same city, we saw each other several times a week, if not every day. Even if it was just stopping by for a second, because I lived 20 minutes to the north of where my kids lived when I lived in the same area. But if I had to go in town for something, I'm stopped by one of their house. Hey, how you doing? I can't see what you're up to. I don't want nothing. I might not even get out the car. Where them babies at? What they doing? Come in and holler at your GG for a second. Climb up on the back of the truck. That's what a village family is. A village family is you don't have to leave your kids at home alone because I'm going to call my sister, brother, auntie, cousin, nephew, come watch these kids for a little while, or let me drop them off over to your house for a little while because I need to run to the mall or I got a little business I need to handle. That is what a village family is. So I'm going to let this play for a second. I'm going to step away for about 2 seconds, y'all.
Birthday. So I asked if I could get a visit. And she told me they had something planned that day that they would try to get with me the next day, which would have been June 15th. And I'm still waiting. I've reached out, I've sent text messages, I've called, and I'm still waiting.
And remember, this is the Hampton Social Services. So we're dealing with the Hampton Police Department, the Hampton Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and the Hampton Social Services.
Amina,
So
can I
this-
ask you a question? As of this moment,
And I'll tell you what we'll do. We can do, if everyone is done talking, we can do question and answers.
Amina, as of this moment, have anyone in the family been charged with abuse or neglect towards the children? And if not, then why are they being denied the right to see the kids?
My opinion is because it's Hampton.
Um,
Yes, is the answer to your question.
Which, do you believe he's alive?
You asked if it
Oh,
the
dead or
word
alive? Yes. I have a follow-up question. Neighbors of Cory's did report, and he admitted to police that he had left the kids alone for several hours at a time on multiple occasions. Do you have any response to that?
Well, if he admitted that he left his kids alone, so do that prompt 30 charges of child neglect? And do that cause him not to have a bond? Do that cause him to be denied his right to a lawyer? Do that deny him his right to come out when he wanted to leave if he's not placed under arrest?
If he admitted
If
that.
he admitted it, do that cause for all that to happen to him? If he admitted that, for them to not to give him a lawyer, for them to not to give him a bond, for them to not to let him leave when he wanted to leave?
And let me just say too, to your question, I've had child neglect cases. Generally what happens, if children are left alone without injuries, which I know many of you were at the preliminary hearing, and that was the Commonwealth's evidence that they were left alone without injuries. That is a referral to Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services visits the home, puts a safety plan in place, makes sure they're not alone again, and that's it. It's not 30 felony charges. At the most, it would be a misdemeanor. There is misdemeanor child neglect charges that can be brought. Leaving a child at home alone without injuries would be a referral to social services. If there were any indication that there could have been injuries, like maybe the parent left the child home alone before and they were injured, or the parent left the child home alone before and they were in the street, but on this occasion, they weren't injured, but the parent had the propensity to know that they could have been, then you get a misdemeanor charge. You do not get felony charges. These felony charges were, again, I look at the Hampton Police Department in conjunction with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, because when the Hampton Police Department could not get a false confession, they called the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to say, how can we keep them? And these are the charges likely recommended by the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. We'll give them felony charges. I can imagine the conversation was, well, we can't find anything about murder and he didn't do anything. Well, didn't he say he left his kids home alone? Yeah, but that would just be a misdemeanor. No. Charge him with felonies. Charge him. How many kids does he have? All of them. How many times did he do it? So the police can contact the Commonwealth Attorney before they bring charges. That is the conversation I imagine. We can't let him go because now the media has picked up on the Cory Bigsby case. We can't just let him walk out of here after we denied him a lawyer, denied him the right to go home, denied him food and water, had him sleeping on a cot for 4 days. We can't.
So it's all a big conspiracy theory. It's not because his child is missing and nobody knows what happened to this baby. It's because the whole police department and the DA and everybody else is out to get Cory.
Just let him walk out of here. So we have to cover this up.
Amina, is as of today, is Cory still maintaining his innocence, and what is his message right now?
Cory is not just maintaining his innocence. Cory is innocent. And the message that what you've heard from the family is his message. They've had contact with him prior to, I know that Mr. Hennett made a statement, but prior to that status at the jail, he was communicating with his family. So you've heard, you heard Mr. Hennett tell all of you pretty much how Cory feels. But he's, just like he said, when you go to report your child missing, it's unfortunate that you have to be concerned that you're going to be prosecuted, especially as a Black male in this country. And I can tell you that if I knew Cory before he went to report his child missing, I would have told him, no, you don't go. You need to send a Black female to go that will know what, because you all know that the way my practice is about civil rights. So I go from case to case to case where there is police corruption, where the Commonwealth attorneys are doing corrupt things that are corrupt. So I have advice for all of my clients, and there's no way. In fact, I got on after this case before I got in it that if you're a Black man in America, you cannot report your child missing. you go to the wife or you go get a female because Black females are less likely to be targeted by the police. Also, Black females will tell the police,
Wait,
no, I'm not
what?
telling you anything that you need
Hold
to know
on.
other than, the height, weight, description of my
Hold,
child.
hold, hold on,
Whereas,
hold on, hold on.
they message that what you've heard from the family is his message. They've had contact with him prior to. I know that Mr. Hennett made a statement, but prior to that status at the jail, he was communicating with his family. So you've heard, you heard Mr. Hennett tell all of you pretty much how Cory feels. But he's, just like he said, when you go to report your child missing, it's unfortunate that you have to be concerned that you're going to be prosecuted, especially as a Black male in this country. And I can tell you that if I knew Cory before he went to report his child missing, I would have told him, no, you don't go. You need to send a Black female to go that will know what, because you all know that the way my practice is about civil rights. So I go from case to case to case where there is police corruption, where the Commonwealth attorneys are doing corrupt things that are corrupt. So I have advice for all of my clients, and there's no way. In fact, I got on after this case before I got in it that if you're a Black man in America, you cannot report your child missing. You go to the wife or you go get a female because Black females are less likely to be targeted by the police. Also, Black females will tell the police, no, I'm not telling you anything that you need to know other than, the height, weight, description of my child. Whereas, they basically the charges that they have is because they were talking to him about.
That woman just flipped the race card 5 different ways from Sunday. I swear to God. She was so busy trying to play the Black card till none of what she just said made sense at all. Not to me anyway. All I heard was word salad. Black man, Black woman. If you're a Black man in America, corruption, corruption, corruption. Race card. That's what I heard.
About stuff that happened prior to the disappearance of Cody. And it's just unfortunate, but just like Mr. Hennett said, this is America. This really, really is America.
Thank you. And then I spoke with him, and at the time I spoke, he cried. I said, "Oh man, they got me locked up for doing something to my son. I want to see my son. I want to look for my son." So he cried and pleaded because he incarcerated for doing something to his son when he know he didn't do it. And now he crying because I can't even look for my son. I really can't. And and at this point, we can't even visit him. We can't even see him. My wife and I, we are reverends in the church, so we clergy, and we still can't go see him. And I've been going to prisons all my life because I do prison ministry. And even when other people can't get in, they still allow clergy to come in. But we can't go see him.
Mr. Hennett, when was the last time you saw Cody alive?
Cody?
Yeah.
Cory
Cory.
or Cody? Which one, the son or the father?
The son. When was the last time you saw him?
Maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Chandelier, when was the last time you
They're a village family, but the last time they saw each other, the last time they saw Cody was 2 years ago. Check this out. They're in Hampton and DC. Hampton and DC ain't that far apart, right? I'm in Louisiana. My other kids and grandkids are in Florida. Ask me when the last time I saw my other kids and grandkids. About 2.5 months ago. And if I had chosen to go on the vacation that my daughter went on, I would be looking at them right now. All of them. They are not the village family that they're trying to portray themselves to be for the benefit of Cory, this monster who did whatever it is that he'd have done to this child and trying to get off with it.
I think I've answered that question more than enough.
Chandelier, can you tell us what state you live in, different from where baby Cody lives?
I'm in DC,
And baby Cody resides
in Hampton.
thank you, Virginia.
Correct.
And may I ask, why the $25,000 reward now?
Why
Because
now?
we want to bring my nephew home.
I think I can answer that. So I've had prior to me coming on this case, I had contact with Bonnie and TV Unleashed. So when I talked to the family, again, just so all of you know, when I got in, I was laser focused on trying to get him out. I think I did like 4 bond hearings. So that was my focus. And then when I was able to sit down and talk to the family about other issues, I again found out that they were told not to have a press conference. And then that's when we started having conversations. Okay, well, let's do this press conference July 15th. We talked about this about a week ago. let's do the press conference July 15th. And I talked to them about about TV Unleashed. Now they had, I got them in touch with the person at TV Unleashed who was able to sponsor, and it wasn't Bonnie, but the
Emily, you know what? In a case like this, in a situation like this, I don't care if you black, white, purple, green, or polka dot. It's a missing child, just like you said. Just like you said. So all this other extra that they trying to throw out there, throw a rock and hide your hand, acting like a magician. I'm gonna show you this rabbit in my right hand, but I ain't gonna let you see what my left hand doing. Uh, all that kind of crap like that is just straight, total BS. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of bull guts and crap.
the producers, and they were able to sponsor a reward. So we started talking more about, I guess like after I did the 4 bond hearings, we sat down and started talking more about everything. And then that's when I found out that their previous attorney said not to talk to the press. And I was like, well, do you all want to talk to the press? And they were like, yes. So we set up this press release. I started talking to them about possibly getting a sponsor for the reward. And that's how all that started. So that's why now, I guess, is the best.
Amina, when is Cory's next court date?
Okay, so I think somebody called me and said, if you look on the circuit court website, it says July 22nd, and it says for a guilty plea. That next court date, so the next court date, to answer your question, is July 22nd. On the court's website, it says guilty plea. It's just a control date. He is not pleading guilty. But I think the circuit court put it up there that way so that no witnesses will be subpoenaed. So on that court date, we will likely pick the trial schedule. Now, there is also a July 29th date, which is set for trial, but it's not going to be the trial date. So there'll be a lot of different motions. On July 22nd, that will actually be a hearing.
The black experience. Let's talk about this since all she want to talk about is race. Now, as a black woman, I can tell you there are a lot of experiences that I have that a white woman would never understand. Okay. One example I'll give you, I had a real good paying job and I just had money to burn. Literally. I had more money than I had anything to do with because I worked so much till I hardly ever had time to actually go and just spend the money. So I went into a pretty upscale mall. This is when I lived in Dallas, and there was a certain perfume that I had wanted for years. I was in love with Donna Karan Cashmere Mist. I don't know why, because now when I smell it, I can't stand the smell of it. But I was so in love with that perfume, and I just meant I was gonna get me some. So I finally had a job where I just had money to burn. I says, well, I'm gonna go get me a bottle of it. So I go into this mall and I go into the store that they sell it in, and I said, I want to get a 3-ounce bottle of Donna Karan Cashmere Mist. And the woman she tried to tell me about the price. Oh, well, it costs such and such and such and such amount an ounce. I was like, yeah, I know. Well, why don't you try this one? Tried to show me everything cheap she had under the counter. So what I did was I pulled out a big fat wad of cash, whole bunch of hundreds and fifties and 20s. And I just started counting it, and I turned around and slowly walked away from the counter. So that's just one experience. But being a black woman, I don't have the experience that I'm afraid to call the police because they're automatically going to assume I'm guilty. If one of my kids went missing, guess what I'm going to do? 911, get here fast. Hurry up. Because if you don't get here before I get there, wherever there is that they got my child, you're going to be coming for me. I done learned not to get mad about certain things. I feel like she felt worse by seeing that commission that she lost out on than she did by me getting upset and going off and acting a fool. And yes, I've had experiences where I've gone in stores. I went into a Kohl's one time and a white dude walked in front of me. He had on a backpack. They didn't say anything to him. I had on a backpack and I worked at the store right in front of them. I walked in the store with my backpack. She ran up to me. You have to leave your backpack at the counter. This, that. I was like, I don't have to leave my backpack nowhere. I'm going in here and buy what I want to buy, and I got money, and that's what that's going to be. So, I've had some bad experience and some good experiences, but I have never had an experience where I was scared to call the police because when something happened because I felt like they were going to take me to jail. They automatically going to assume I did something. Like, that ain't even what the black experience is all about. A black man ain't gonna call the police and report his child missing. He gonna go get his wife or somebody. No, he not. He gonna pick up the phone and call 911. That's what he's gonna do. It happens every single day. Black people call and report their kids missing, except in her world. Except in her world, black men don't call to report their kids missing. In her world, they go get a female to do it. If she don't sit down somewhere, take several seats. We gonna stop this video in a little bit. I'm waiting for the part where Rhoda Young asked Tandalier when was the last time that she saw Cody, because there's something I want to play for you when she says that.
And we'll set a trust.
I mean, have you looked into taking this case out of Hampton, Virginia?
I have. I do plan on doing that. So that's why, as far as pretrial motions, those are one of the types of pretrial motions.
Where's Cody's room?
And Ken, I want to speak to that. One reason you asked, if you don't mind,
No, you're fine.
25,000. When you put up money, people start looking. People start talking, and people start looking because now money involved. And I was consistent that we need to get this out of Hampton. As long as it's just in Hampton news, in the area of Hampton, only Hamptons know. Only Hampton is dealing with it the way the law in Hampton want to deal with it. But once they get outside of Hampton, then changes can be made, because you got other jurisdictions, you got other people know, even people on my job and people around where we talk about, they're like, well, I ain't know that. So don't too many people know about this but Hampton. And so we had to get this out of Hampton.
Can we clear something up for the press?
Yes.
You said last time you seen Baby Cody was 2 years. Can you tell them where you reside at and where Baby Cody
The same. I decided Washington in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
And Baby Cody live in Virginia.
Exactly. That's why it's been long. I'm so far away, and I so that's the reason why. But that's, I wanted to speak about getting it out of Hampton. That's another reason why we have this press conference, in order to let people know, besides of Hampton.
Right, to get the story out.
The only thing they letting people know is Paul Cory.
And this just me. We say you always hear, if you see something, say something. And as a black man, you say something, you will get yourself in trouble. And they wonder why we don't always say something about what we see. Cory says something, my son is missing, and look what happened to him.
And a lot of community members really, did a lot of search parties.
That's because he's the reason his son's missing.
Help find Cody. I guess overall as a family, what's your reaction to the community's response to that?
But it was some community, not a lot. It was some. And some of the stuff that they was posting was kind of negative toward the family, because they was blaming he missing because of the family. If the family loved him, where they at? If the family care about him, why they ain't looking for him? But the family was out there looking. So far the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood putting stuff on Facebook and be like it's something positive. No, it wasn't. It was something negative about the family.
And to be clear, the chief of police is the one that started that.
You wouldn't be attacking his family, because we are the ones that love him.
Well, they were mimicking.
And we started which rumor?
The chief of police is the one that went on February 25th at city council. He said if the people that cared about Cody would help us, then we would be able to find him. And then that's when the family started getting attacked. So he started that. And then the people that were in the community started mimicking it. So that was reckless.
When was the last time anyone other than Cory saw Cody alive?
I'm not sure.
We can't answer that because most of the time Cory has his boys. He's the one that has his boys in terms
Cory
of
has
the mom.
dedicated the last 6 years since he retired to being a full-time dad to his boys.
Are y'all ready to get this interview started? The question is, I met you today. You hired the lawyer. We was inside the courthouse. The lawyer was at the window asking to see his client.
Here we
He was
go.
denied several times. If I did not videotape what happened, do you think we'll be here? Now check this out. We went into a press conference. I questioned the chief. Did y'all deny Cory Bigsby of his rights? He stood there angrily looking at me and said no. To find out he was absolutely lying, because I have the receipts already. Can you answer that? Who was there?
You are absolutely correct. You came in while we were there waiting to see if they were going to let the attorney speak to him. And they came out and told Mr. Ambrose no, he couldn't see him, that he didn't specifically ask for an attorney. Mr. Ambrose in return said, so you're not going to allow me to see my client after his family has retained me. And again, they denied it.
And let me just chime in here. Again, it is clear to me that denying people and not just people, this is a black man, so let's keep that in mind. But denying him his constitution.
Please don't forget about the race card.
Practice in the Hampton Police Department. My belief is that this is what they do. So he goes in there, asks for an attorney, they deny him the right to see an attorney, and then they continue with the questioning. Well, if the media had not been there, if she had not recorded it, if the media hadn't picked up the fact that Cody was missing, he wouldn't have apologized and said, "Oh, we denied him his right to an attorney, so we're going to put someone on administrative leave." This is what they do. So the only reason that the chief came out, my belief is the only reason he even came out and said we screwed up is because the media was watching. If you all had not been there, he would have just been denied the right to counsel and then got charged for not giving a false confession. So this is a pattern of practice. And the only reason the chief admitted that he was wrong is because he didn't have a way out. So the concern really should be for the people of Hampton and the Commonwealth of Virginia. How often does this happen when the media's eyes are not watching?
Let me give you a little glimpse into a family conversation that we had at the table when this kicked off. You know, we're watching the news, we're listening, and all we hear out of the chief's mouth is he's free to go. He's cooperating. And so we talked among ourselves because we know Cory. Like, why is he sitting at that precinct and not contacting us, letting us know what's going on? We'll be there lickety split. Why is he just sitting there? But the whole time we've been lied to. He wasn't free to go, because when you're free to go, you can say, you know what, I'm done with this conversation, I'm out of here. But that was not the case. And the proof is in the pudding. So when the attorney shows up and he was denied to see Cory, there you have it. Even Tandalia, who slept at the precinct, I said, tell them to let Cory know that his sister is out there, because I feel a need to let him know that, yeah, family is here for you. We're on the scene. They never said.
I asked Detective Snellgrove that to let him know. He said he would. Another detective came out that morning. He said he would. No one ever told Cory that I was at the station. In fact, when I finally talked to him, he said to me that he told them I had family who don't even know what's going on with me.
Tandalia, Jeffrey, his attorney, his first attorney, and you stood outside to watch, walked over to the Commonwealth Prosecutor Office to ask them why are they violating his client's rights. Do you recall that incident?
Yes.
Did he give you a reason why they didn't allow his lawyer to come in on that day?
No. The only thing they did was tell him to direct it to Anton Bear.
I want to go back to something about the search teams for Cody, as well as the reward money. I first want to thank all of the teams for their efforts and their diligence in looking for baby Cody. I appreciate that. In terms of the reward money, as I sit here and think,
should have led with that.
we had to jump through some things. We had to dispel some. There were a lot of fake GoFundMe pages that were not honored by the family, that were not generated by the family, and so people didn't know what was what and who was putting out what. Yes, some people got paid. In fact, I researched about 4 different ones as far as Texas, putting out GoFundMe pages for baby Cody. And so as I thought about it, like, you had to let all of that pass through the riffraff so that the genuine approach or reward money can come through, so people can really tell us where Cody is and do what's right.
I think Julie tried to ask this question earlier, but I also want to know the same thing. A lot of people are asking within Hampton Roads, where is Cody's mother? Is she involved? Is she helping you all search?
Well,
No.
She has
the
not
answer
been
is
in
no.
any searches.
And even before this happened, he had to, when he been in Virginia with his kids, the mother left. Cory kept his kids. So he had full custody of his kids because he loved his kids. So the mother is really not involved at all.
The police put the kids in her custody. Why did they end up in foster care now?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Research her history. Research her history.
She actually,
That's
can
the
I say
best
this?
answer. Research
She
her history.
actually had a son. No, okay, well, I'm gonna let that go. But
Research her
history and find out what type of person that she was, and you'll find out why Cory had to get his own sons and take care of his sons, because he loved his children. So let me get my sons and let me raise my sons where they be in a safe environment. It might not because of what happened, but that's to show the love that he had for his kids, that he got them from the place where they were in order for him to raise his own son.
So where is she? She's in the Washington, D.C. area.
Doing
And
nothing.
you guys don't have contact with her at all?
No, we
No.
don't.
And she's not tried to reach out to you at all?
No.
No, and I made sure that she had an update telephone number for me.
And Ms. Butler, what do you want the people to know about Cody as a person? Just kind of what he is like.
Cody or Cory?
Cody.
Cody is the typical 4-year-old kid. He likes to run and play. Cody loved his dad. Literally, when they were at my house, his dad couldn't go up the steps without Cody being right on his trail. So that's just the gist of it. Like Cody was the typical child. I mean, I've seen so many.
Please tell me what auntie can't describe her nephew without describing her, without having to talk about her brother. If you ask me to describe any of my nieces and nephews, any of my grandkids, or anything else, I can describe that person without having to talk about their parent, their cousin, their niece, their kid. Cody's a wonderful kid, man. He's so full of life. His favorite thing is Spider-Man. He loves the color blue. He's, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know this kid, and I can come up with a description of him that don't involve Cory.
Negative things. Oh, he was unkept. He was this and that. Unkept children don't have clean clothes and haircuts. So he wasn't unkept. Cody was the typical child. He wanted to play. He wanted to run. He wanted to do what he wanted to do.
The only word she can really think of to describe her nephew is typical.
After the lie detector test, what happened?
Say it again.
So the case didn't change after the lie detector test.
After the lie detector test, things happened. Cory Bigsby said, look, give me a lawyer now. He started demanding. I don't know what happened. We don't know what the test came out to be. But the detectives became very upset with him, and things happened, but we don't know what happened.
I can tell you that they were upset with him because he was not giving them a false confession. They kept him there for 4 days in an attempt to get a false confession. The media kept asking what's going on with him, and then they likely contacted the Commonwealth attorney to figure out how to try to keep him and not just let him walk out of here because of the mess that they made. And then he was overcharged, first with 7 charges, and the overcharging continued. So they became frustrated when he would not give a false confession. This is clear to me that there is a pattern and practice in Hampton, and the only reason that this is on the news is because you all decided to cover it. Like, this happens every single day. People, if you don't give a false confession, this is how we're going to get you. So that's what happened.
And I'm gonna piggyback off that based on what he said. After they questioned him for so long and didn't get what they want, that's when he said, look, I'm tired. I want to go home. I've been here for all these hours. I just want to go home. And can we come back and start over? And that's when they denied him to leave, but he was free. If he was free to go, but they said every time he got it, they was like, no, sit back there, we're not finished. But he was free to go. And so they got upset because they didn't get what they wanted. And that's why they denied him to leave. They denied him a lawyer, and they got mad with him. And then he said, he got upset because they wouldn't let him go.
I know you all said that you had minimal contact with the other children, but have the siblings expressed any idea about where they think Cody might be?
My visit with them, nobody knows. It was basically for me to see them, to know that they were okay, and to let them know that I love them.
And they haven't said anything about where their brother is?
They haven't said anything.
They're like 3 years old.
Just
They-
for clarification,
They say they babies. So.
Just for clarification, they are in Hampton's foster care system, correct? And sorry, when is Cody's birthday?
January 9th.
January 9th. What year?
I want to say 2000.
2018, but with
2018. I think the years is what gets me. The day, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2018.
To you. What they did to Cory Bigsby is a violation of his constitutional rights. The state of Virginia and Hampton, Virginia, no. They have set themselves up for a lawsuit. Do you think they are prolonging the lawsuit by holding Mr. Cory Bigsby longer in jail and overcharging him so that he can't sue them?
No, I think they're doing that because this is what they do. So you don't give us a false confession, we are going to overcharge you and try to get you to plea. I don't think it has anything. This is what they do.
Y'all all
So
plan
I
on
don't think
suing,
it has
right?
anything to do with the lawsuit.
Are y'all planning on suing?
I did. I sent a notice of intent when I first got on the case. So yes.
You guys said that you wanted to come to the media to kind of spread the word a bit more outside of this area. So
Right.
do you think it's possible that you could potentially be somewhere out of state and they should be searching in other states right now?
It's
I
possible.
feel like at this
It's
point,
possible.
they should be searching everywhere.
Everywhere. It's
I feel
possible.
like
Who is who? The person asking the questions in the background? That's Rhoda Young Live.
Yeah, that too. We're gonna get a But I feel like if an Amber Alert went out, it would have been nationwide. And Cody may be home by now.
And if he was, and if he is out of the state with an Amber Alert, that could have stopped him from getting out of the state because they'd have been looking for someone with this young man to taking him outside of the state of Hampton. But because it wasn't put out there, he could be anywhere. He could be next door.
This dude talking is Cory's uncle.
Because it wasn't an Amber Alert, nobody looking for him.
Please forgive me for this.
But the
question.
family.
Please forgive me for this question. And no disrespect to your family.
Go ahead, ask the question.
I'm sorry that I got issues.
You gotta be
I
sorry.
apologize. If the family, forgive me, if the family found out that Cory Bigsby did do something to his son, how much support will you continue to get from you?
First of all, we're not gonna find that out because he didn't do anything to his son. But to answer that question, if there was
This is
ever a
Cory's aunt.
that anybody in our family did something contrary to what we stand for, we family to the death. So we're not going to find out that Cory did anything to Cody because that's off the record. Cory did not do anything to Cody. And I just want to speak to something that the chief said as well about the Amber Alert. He said he went against the grain.
The one in the blue is Cory's sister, Cody's
He went
aunt.
against the grain to do that, but he
In the
said,
first few hours.
yeah, he said that, this situation about Cody didn't warrant an Amber Alert. So here, Chief, you're making a choice. You go against the grain to call in the FBI on a man who reported his 4-year-old son missing, but you don't.
I'm gonna stop her right there. Calling in the FBI in a missing child case and calling them in early on in a missing child case is pretty much common practice because the FBI has what's called CARD teams, CARD, Child Abduction Rapid Deployment. And what they do with those CARD teams is they have resources and analytics and professionals and experts who are well versed and well trained in missing children, not just abducted children, but they can do and find and investigate things on a level that the locals don't have the resources for. And so a lot of times they can find the child faster because they have access to so much data, so much information, so much equipment and software. So calling the FBI in, there's nothing suspect about that. The only thing suspect would have been if they didn't call in the FBI early on.
Go against the grain to put out an Amber Alert. And my question to you, sir, is why?
And hopefully y'all will follow up with the chief of police. But understand too, what they're talking about is not just the Hampton Police Department that was in there for that 4 days violating Cory's rights. It was the FBI. So it's not just one police officer that said you're not going to get a lawyer. They did this in conjunction with the FBI. So again, my concern is obviously both Cory and Cody, but Hampton and the Commonwealth of Virginia, if these are the practices that the Hampton Police Department are undertaking, because it wasn't just one person that denied him the right. And then once they realized, okay, we can't waltz him out, we can't just let him go home, they no doubt had a conversation with the Commonwealth attorney about what charges can we put on. So again, my practice is defeating corruption everywhere. So what kind of conversations do you think they had once the media got involved, once Jeffrey Ambrose knocked on the door to see his client and they said no? They had conversations with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. They are both complicit. So it's not just the problem. The point I'm trying to make, it's not just this case. It's not just one rogue police officer. We're talking about police department and the FBI. So all of you all denied the right for him to get a lawyer, and then you overcharge him. So you deny him the right to bond, which is a constitutional violation of the 8th Amendment. So again, in order for this to take place, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the police department have to be complicit. And it is not just Cory, I promise you. We're talking about Cory because y'all decided to cover Cody. But this happens every day. And that's my concern.
And I thank God. I don't know what your motives are here. And I don't even care. But I thank God that you are covering this case, because if not, he would have been lost. Just another Black man lost in the system. So I say to you, thank you.
Not another Black child lost in the world, but a Black man lost in the system. Can you really?
And I told the family, again, because of the way I've been practicing, they do this. They do this consistently. You don't give a false confession, you will get overcharged. Now, some jurisdictions are better than others. I can tell people that right after I had Cory's case, I was in Newport News. I praise the Newport News Commonwealth Attorney's Office because I already can see that there's a stark contrast between the way the Newport News police officers or the Newport News Commonwealth Attorney's Office handled my client as opposed to Hampton. So it's not a Commonwealth Attorney issue. It is a Hampton Commonwealth Attorney and a Hampton Police Department issue. And everyone should be concerned because this is what they do. That's what I meant when I said this is America.
I mean, adequate attorney, your opinion, do you feel as though Mr. Jeffrey had his client, Mr. Cory Bigsby, best interest at heart? And how did the Commonwealth Prosecutor Office get the whole of something Mr. Cory Bigsby, which is military record, on a release to his attorney?
So this is what I'm going to do. I have filed motions in court with regard to how I feel about Jeffrey Ambrose. I am going to not answer that question because I don't want the focus to be on Jeffrey Ambrose. I'm focusing on the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the police department because
Well, how did they get his military records if he only released it to his attorney?
I don't
That's
know.
a no-brainer.
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I did what I was in court. That was the way it happened. So, but I don't know how that happened.
Did she already ask Tandalier when she saw Cody, and I missed it?
He was being unethical.
Can you give us an example? What about the phone call?
What call you trying
Sorry.
Mr. Ambrose questioned Mr. Cory Bigsby, almost trying to lead him into a confession over the phone line. And then after he answered, he said, look, you said what you said.
Because this phone call is being recorded. Yeah. He asked him, did he kill Cody? Cory said no. And Ms. Ambrose told him, yeah, lucky you said no because this call is being recorded.
I mean, what if he had said yes then? What situation would Mr. Bigsby been in by his lawyer, knowing the jailhouse phone calls are tapped? Why would he ask his client for a confession over phone?
So first he went and said yes because he didn't kill Cody. But lawyers know you have to keep your client information confidential. So that would have been an ethical. I mean, when I did the motion to clarify the reason that he was terminated, I listed the phone call, I listed the military records and some other things. But what I want to do today is focus on the $25,000.
He was being unethical.
Can you give us an example? What if the office get the whole of something Mr. Cory Bigsby, which is military record, on a release to his attorney?
So this is what I'm going to do. I have filed motions in court with regard to how I feel about Jeffrey Ambrose. I am going to not answer that question because I don't want the focus to be on Jeffrey Ambrose. I'm focusing on the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the police department because
Well, how did they get his military records if he only released it to his attorney?
I don't
That's
know.
a no-brainer.
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I did what I was in court. That was
Ooh.
the way it happened. So, but I don't know how that exchange took place.
But Ambrose was fired and Cory's reasons were he was being unethical.
Can you give us an example? What about the phone call?
What call you trying
Sorry.
Mr. Ambrose questioned Mr. Cory Bigsby, almost trying to lead him into a confession over the phone line. And then after he answered, he said, look, you said what you said.
Because this phone call is being recorded. Yeah. He asked him, did he kill Cody? Cory said no. And Ms. Ambrose told him, yeah, lucky you said no because this call is being recorded.
I mean, what if he had said yes then? What situation would Mr. Bigsby been in by his lawyer, knowing the jailhouse phone calls are tapped? Why would he ask his client for a confession over phone?
So first he went and said yes because he didn't kill Cody. But lawyers know you have to keep your client information confidential. So that would have been an ethical. I mean, when I did the motion to clarify the reason that he was terminated, I listed the phone call, I listed the military records and some other things. But what I want to do today is focus on the $25,000 reward for Cody, and just let everyone know about.
Now you want to focus on the reward for Cody.
What's going on with Cory and the fact that not only the family and myself agree that what the Commonwealth Attorney's office is doing is awful, but also that TV Unleashed is in support of our position as well. Does anybody have any other questions?
TV Unleashed would like to have anyone who has any information, please come forward. This family is suffering, and if it was any of our family members that were missing, you would want the same, and we hope that we can be able to give them some peace and some clarity to the situation. And we ask everyone to keep an eye out for Cody.
And we're doing this clearly, and just to be clear, because the Hampton Police Department and the Commonwealth attorneys have been derelict in their duty in locating Cody. They've been complicit in even just, simple things like asking people for their Ring cameras, asking people for cameras at that time. They've been complicit in this, and so this is definitely a dereliction of duty by the Hampton Police Department, and it is supported by the efforts of the Commonwealth Attorney's Office.
Before we go, one last question from me. No one has told us why y'all not allowed to visit Mr. Cory Bigsby.
I can tell you. So and I meant to follow up on this. What they said as far as them being clergy, I did talk to the Hampton Regional Jail, and what their response was, no, they can't visit. We already have in-house clergy. So if he wants to see somebody in-house, he can see them. They're not having visitation because of COVID. So they're blaming COVID. That's why they haven't been able to see him.
Virginia was the first one that disregarded their mask wearing. So
yeah, but a lot of people are in prisons and jail. So
and I myself, I've been doing prison ministry for 25 years. Been in all the prisons, North Carolina, West Virginia. I've been going to prison for 25 years. I never was denied visitation as a reverend, as clergy, to go into a prison. Even at DC jail, when they had, because of the COVID, we were still, as clergy, allowed to go in. So maybe Hampton have their own laws and their own rules, but I've been in the federal penitentiaries for 25 years doing prison ministry, and I was never denied to go into the prison.
Violation too, because you
Never.
have a right to your own clergy.
if you all could find out why the Hampton Road Regional Jail isn't allowing visitation, that would help.
Yeah, let us know.
If you could find out why the police department didn't do an Amber Alert, or at least go through the procedure.
Now, see, Emily, that's the kind of prayers I'd be playing, just straight up, no change.
Virginia State Police, that would help. You could help if you could find out how many police officers and FBI agents were in the Hampton Police Department during that 4-day period that Cory was denied an attorney. That would help. And why they set up shop, why they closed up shop in terms of looking for Cody after just 1 week. So
After 4 days, they were told that there was no criteria. There was not enough criteria. They didn't meet the criteria of the Amber Alert.
So what I would like is the letter. So just to be clear, when I got in, I did a notice of intent.
Okay, maybe it's a little further in, because I'm really tired of listening to them.
The neighborhood, a lot of stuff the neighborhood done was negative. When we went to look for, and
Cory Bigsby, I want the public to be on notice, did not do anything to his son. Then the public need to be on notice that someone out here is kidnapping 4-year-old kids. And that's what we need to recognize.
Well, here's another thing too. You're right. But here's another thing. Do you know how I don't have
what they did to Cory Bigsby is
he got upset because they wouldn't let him go.
what they did to Cory Bigsby.
Oh.
It was basically for me to see them.
Okay, well, what I was trying to get to, and I guess I obviously must have missed it. So Rhoda Young at this press conference asked Tandalaya, Cody's aunt and Cory's sister, again, she asked her, when was the last time you saw Cody? So her response was something along the lines of, I believe I've answered that question several times before. But the thing is, let me just play it for you. Let me just play it for you.
Did they see him over the holidays? Yes, she said that she did see him over the.
Now, this is not his aunt. This lady's name is Uganda something. Her name is Uganda. She's talking about it. But there is Cody's aunt, Tandalaya, the one that's at the press conference, is in this video.
Holidays. No, aunt did, excuse me. She said that her husband had last talked to him Sunday.
At all. Why would people allege that he is the one that do anybody know when the last time they seen the baby Cody?
I did personally. Personally, I didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
Have I talked to him? Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm. When was the last time you spoke to Cody?
It's been about a week since I spoke to them, but I do know that my ex-husband spoke to them Sunday, and he spoke to every last one of them.
So Cody was alive Sunday,
Yes.
this last past Sunday.
Yes.
And your husband spoke to Cody himself.
My ex-husband.
Your ex-husband.
Yes.
Wow.
I think Cody is alive and well. We just need to find him.
When is the last time you saw Cody?
That is irrelevant. And I just told you, I don't want to speak on that. If I knew where he is, I would have found him by now. So I don't know. Why would I not think he's alive?
So she still has not answered the question, when is the last time you saw him? She's not answered that question. She said when the last time she spoke to him, but she will not answer when is the last time you saw him. That is such a simple question. If you ask me when the last time I saw whoever, I can tell you. Now, if it's been a while, I might have to think about it for a while and be like, it's been 2, maybe 3 years ago. I remember such and such and such and such. But if you ask me when is the last time I saw somebody that I saw recently, oh man, about a week ago. I just saw the day before yesterday. Yeah, that's what she said. That's irrelevant. So the only other thing that I really wanted to bring up about this, because they already covered the reward. I don't even recall in the first viewing hearing them mention the reward because that lady's voice was so soft spoken and we were having such a hard time with like audio that day and trying to get it louder. But I wanted to share an article with you guys that told who exactly is offering the reward. So I'm not going to share the whole screen. I'm just going to read this small passage of it. It says, Unleashed Entertainment announced Friday the creation of a $25,000 reward for information regarding Cody Bigsby or those who are responsible for his disappearance. The crowd-funded reward includes funds from multiple individuals and companies, such as Bigsby family members, and the streaming service has agreed to match the contributions, bringing the total to $25,000. Actually, according to what is being said by law enforcement, it's possible that Cory has been missing since like September or October, because they were saying to go back something about 3 months. So that would have been January, December, November, October. That would have been like October sometime is the last time that they think Cory was alive. And I was going to share the Hampton briefing before that, but I'm glad I didn't, because that would have had us in here even longer. And it was a long time the first time we watched this, so it would have definitely been a long time watching it again. What I am going to do is I'm going to download the press conference. I'm going to tweak the audio and I'll post it. I should have it up there tomorrow. So if anybody from God forsaken reason wants to go back and watch this hot mess again, at least you'll be able to hear them clearly as they're talking. But I think we all got the gist of it. I'm just going to put it up there just on the house. Maybe somebody who hasn't tortured themselves will want to torture themselves and watch it. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I might or might not come back. It just depends. I might just go to sleep. If I come back, I think we're going to do some crime surfing and some dumb criminals. We haven't done some dumb criminals in a while. So thanks for joining. I love you. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the fam, Emily. And do you know about Battissimo? If you don't know about Battissimo, I'll explain it real quick. Because there's some cool things that you can do with Battissimo. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to do one of them right now. Now, what I just typed in should make Battissimo post a link to the current poll that I have posted. Thank you, Emily. All right. Good night, y'all. Hey, don't be calling Battissimo a grifter. He can only come out and hang out he can only come hang out if he tries to sell candy. You just have to ignore it. Okay, there is the current poll. And you can go to, I thought it was supposed to post a link to it, but you can vote here. You can type exclamation point vote. Like I type exclamation point poll, you type exclamation point vote, and then type the number of the option you want to vote for. And on this poll, you have to type exclamation point vote. I'm gonna show you real quick. VOTE, and I'll say 2. So I just voted for Facebook, even though Facebook isn't my my whatever. And that's how you vote in the chat once there's a poll up. Or you can go to the actual poll itself and vote. And it's probably easier to do it that way, because if you want to vote for more than one option, I'm going to drop the link in there real quick. If you want to vote for more than one option, then you can vote for more than one option. You have to like vote twice. And you can also check your points on the leaderboard there. If you want to go there and watch lives instead of watching it on YouTube, you can watch the lives over there. Once you have enough points, the shop is there, so you can buy a video. That's the only thing that I've put in the shop so far, is that you can buy a video topic. There's also a way that you guys, once I start using Streamlabs, that you can add music to the music queue. But I'm not sure how that works. Once I figure that out, I'll let y'all know. But yep, that is the link to go and vote multiple times on the poll, because I'm sure you use more than just one other like platform besides YouTube. All right, guys. It's been a long one. I'll see y'all next time. And nice meeting you too, Emily.